Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this highly anticipated live show. And today we will, you can say, we will discuss the most pressing issue, the employment crisis facing today's youth. And we have a speaker and guest today who spent decades of his life transforming lives at scale, for example through education, skill building and sustainable employment across India. And we warmly welcome Mr. Neeraj Agrawal. This is Chief Executive Officer of Rural Source Skills Academy, and he has the 30 years of leadership experience in training and educating as a education ventures. And also he collaborated multiple corporates, NGOs and governments, and he is the pioneer in skilling underserved youth, especially rural and semi-urban India. So his expertise, let's have the session to learn from him, from his vast experience. And I will again most welcome, and I will welcome Mr. Neeraj Agrawal to join our show. Thank you very much for this. And Neeraj, just my question is regarding your 30 years experience and the vast experience about this, the reality of youth employment today. What's the reality, and what data shows, what the field insights of versus rural gaps? Something can you show light, and can you tell this to the audience, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Aviv. Very wonderful to participate with you on this session so that more and more people can connect and learn and also understand. Maybe they have their own experiences which they can share with us. So, from the perspective of this overall challenge that the world has, and India has it in a bigger way because India is considered to be the world's youngest population. We have more youth in the age group of the employment side as compared to any other country in the world. So, from that perspective, this challenge is really, really heavy in India. And fortunately, I am born in India and I live in India and I work in India. And mostly that's the passion that I've also taken, that I need to really, really make sure that more and more youth, in fact, the whole system can also align with the way that we can really, really bring out the value within each individual. So that is something I fundamentally believe that all youth have the characteristics and value if they really, really focus on it. Abhi, right now, their focus is too much on, let's say, the smaller things. And of course, the environment also helps reinforce the smaller things for them. Smaller thing meaning, me, mine, and all of that. And the smaller things is also just making sure that kind of focus, keeps increasing. On the data side, there is about 11 million youth who come out of school every year. And in terms of presence jobs, they probably would be like 3 million or something like that. So there is that huge gap, and that gap is only on the paper in that sense, because most organizations which are looking for people are not able to find the right set of fit. They either lack in skills, or they can't talk, and they can't really present themselves, and or sometimes they make clear all the intellectual parts which are tests kind of a thing, but when they actually get down to doing work, then they really, really tatter around, and not able to complete, and hence they are terminated, etc. So, from the overall thing, in terms of challenges today, I think if you look at it from two perspectives, one is the side which is internal, and one is the side which is external. So, the internal side is, the element of picking up the skills as you go through school, and really focusing on learning and applying to yourself in terms of how you will be creating value. How will you use the content or learning that you're going through? So things that you're learning, you need to constantly be thinking in your mind of how will it create value for people around you. So that aspect is somewhere missing, and in that whole process, what does happen is that they don't end up developing the skills which are needed for interactions, for having relationships, for understanding what the other person wants. You're only constantly thinking of self, and hence it's just like learning. It's like, rote learning, as we call it, where you're constantly, just have to clear the test. So that I must clear the test, so I learn what I have to learn, and that's it. Nothing beyond that. Yeah, so that's one key point, which is something that individuals themselves can bring out. Yeah, the other element is that the socio-economic barriers, which are partly from because of the outside, but the outside world you need to be able to handle, as in not get swayed by what is being shown, let's say on the streams on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, etc., etc. So YouTube you can use to learn whatever is being taught by a lot of people are teaching there. If you go and that's what a lot of people have started doing, that they tie on to the YouTube thing and learn. But very few are doing that. Most of the millions that I've talked of don't do that. So that's one other element, which is, you have the opportunity available. At the same time, that in that opportunity there will be a lot of sways, meaning shifts, meaning changes, things that are being suggested by people which are not right, which are something that you need to really evaluate yourself and yeah, take your own personal decision on whether this is correct or not, rather than just saying, okay, so 100,000 people are saying this, that must be correct. That's not how it works in the world. So in reality, yeah, so that's a key challenge. The third key challenge is I mean, this is the personal side I'm talking of, that the uh, technologies which are coming out rapidly, so many changes are happening in the world. So one, of course, is the Instagram, YouTube, and all that. But beyond that is the AI part, which is the Chat GPT and many such platforms that are starting to open up, uh, leading to change in the world. So there is always a good and a bad part in that, which we need to quickly learn and apply. So, for example, in Chat GPT, one can enter the information, but the question itself drives the information that is coming, because the Chat GPT, in my view, is helping us collate, research the existing material that is available in the world and answer our question. So, if our question itself is not right, then we will get some thing which we will end up using, then hope and end up not using our mind. Then our mind is not getting functional. It is just becoming dependent on the Chat GPT, where we are losing out on the learning side. So these are the internal side, and the external side that is typically happening, especially in India, is that everybody is being trained to pass the exam. I mean, they just kill the curiosity of the children, as in they're not asking any specific questions, they're not asking beyond the course, and they are not really letting the students ask a question. So typically, in as the as the science shows us, that if the curiosity is killed by the age of 5 of a person, then it is kind of buried inside, it will not be born. So then the person is just living, because till 5 you have that questioning ability, the curiosity, the ability to favor understand more properly. So those are aspects that education system somewhere seems to be really killing down and suppressing and so on. So by the time of graduation, or by the time you complete your school, the only thing you're doing is presenting what you have learned, and what you have learned is not connected with the business world outside. Yeah, so that aspect is where the system itself is missing out. That's the second point, that the system is not giving any practical application. So I learn that there are bases, there are base liquids, there are acidic liquids, but I don't know exactly what. So for example, there is curd that we use, there is lemon that we use. Which are they? Are which is basic and which is acidic? Nobody is very clearly telling people. So they are using those in homes and then still not knowing. Of course, it comes to people by naturally listening and hearing and so on later on in that sense. And of course, there is this aspect of mismatch. So, what a person learns in college is not really something that the industry needs. Industry needs a little more generic view and a more applicable view. Yeah. So, to take an example, if I simply look at that in my job, I take some person and I want him to do a research on all the industries which are needing a particular kind of thing, the person will only do Google or just do Chat GPT or something like that, but nothing, no head beyond that, in the sense that what has he seen, what has he observed? He will not speak to people, he will not find out from people, because research includes both the secondary research, the desk research, as well as the field research. So, those field research part, of course, not at all. The desk research also very, very short. So, anyways, in a view sense from your question, since I've spoken for a very long, uh, these are the basic challenges that we all face. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
that's good. Yeah, that's good. I think so. Quickly learning technology, and you told that youth should have quickly learn. For example, AI. We can take the example this, and to apply the underdeveloped. We are mostly focusing rural areas or something. How can your organization? I mean, you are the CEO of your of this organization. How you are helping people to do this? Underdeveloped peoples don't have the mobile, maybe they don't have the mobile to use this kind of AI app something. So how you do practically, and how they can be helped something like that, or how can they do independently something like that?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. That's a good question. So, in our country, in terms of, I'm talking of India, and so in the rural sense, while most people, 70% of India is rural in that sense. So most people are born in the rural areas, but in a majority sense, a lot of boys after their school, they move to urban areas. So they are rural, but they are now in urban areas. So, and of course, many girls also do, but not a lot of percentage. I mean, the percentage wise, probably 50% of the girls stay on in villages, and for for them we need to reach out to the villages. So we did, I'll just give some examples. So our companies, one side runs the BPOs, but they are BPOs are call centers. So those call centers are run from villages. So they set them up in villages. So typically there used to be a question that there's difficulty of electricity, there's difficulty of internet, there's difficulty of this and that. So that all has been cracked in India now. So internet is available most of the places. Electricity is available most of the time. So from that perspective, we set up those centers, and then when we looked at the people, primarily the girls come because they are the boys have moved to the cities. But when we ran those BPOs and we had a good employment, a lot of boys also started coming back from the cities to the villages. So, I mean, that is just one perspective. Coming to the AI part, uh, that AI part is actually giving us a leverage in a sense that if we use the AI part, it helps us do much better than what we are already doing. But of course, like I said initially, that we do need to use our mind. If we don't use our mind, for example, in chat, simple thing, Chat GPT, a question, how you ask the question will define things. If you are just asking, okay, how can I do this? It will give you an answer. On the other sense, you say, if I say that when I do this, these three are the problems that I'm facing. So, what have been general ways by which more people have been able to solve this? It will give a different answer. It'll give a more evaluative kind of an answer. So in our application, in our classes, we actually did try initially. We tried the Chat GPT right in the beginning, and then they become too used to Chat GPT. They don't think, they don't apply their mind. So we said, okay, we will not do that right in the beginning. We'll bring that in a little later. Yeah, when their mind have started thinking. So our overall approach is that we always start with a question. Yeah. So the facilitators. We don't call them trainers, we call them facilitators, because they are not there to provide all the information that the student needs, but facilitate their operations, the learning, the growing, and so on, the projects. So they will ask the why, what, how, all those kinds of questions they will start asking, which the students have to think and respond to. We also try and connect to them that, if each individual has value which is equal in, for like, value of the universe, how do we get that out? And that getting out means that we must first understand what are we having, what are the existing things that we have which we are not using. We are asking for some other thing which we don't have. We are not focusing on what we have, so we focus on what we have, understand that, make presentations on that, so that we start really are realizing in ourselves, and making the presentation builds that softer skill of connecting with others. So the whole evaluation goes like that. Here one key point that I did mention about the rural urban, that there is primarily 70% rural, and they tend to move towards urban. So while we actually focus on the villages where we are training, we also look at, level tier 2, tier 3 cities, where a lot of these rural folks have moved, so that they also get covered in the underserved population, and we run that training out there. And the training, of course, is focusing on doing and making it practical. So do is more than just read. So we have the reading material that they would want to use. You don't kind of go through the whole thing. We just let it be available for them to research, and we tell them what to do. We tell them what is it that they want to really do in their life. We give them those tasks. We call it projects. Yeah, so those relevant projects and assignments are focusing on what they want to do, not somebody coming and telling them, oh, you have to do this. So they will never do the have to do. They will actually really want to do want, because that comes brings out the passion, brings out the curiosity, brings out the challenge, and then they are really, really making the effort to apply. Yeah, and like I said, at the end of it, they have to make a presentation, and that presentation itself combines everything that they have learned. It brings it out. Yeah. So our model is think, do, present, reflect kind of approach, in which they are able to bring out change. So this is something, of course, we are only touching a drop of the ocean,
Mhm.
but that's something that we have started, and we hope like the drop becomes a river and the river becomes the ocean kind of a thing. We'll do that. Yeah.
Yes, and
Thank you.
one thing, for example, what the age ranges? I mean, what's the range of their age? I mean, they are young peoples, something like that, and how we can justify that their passion is in the right direction. I mean, the young peoples are motivated, okay, but how you guide them, or what's the possible way to provide the tools to the young youth so that they can be guided in the right direction. Maybe they are passionate, but they're passionate in the wrong direction. They are not fit for right job. This job is not for them. Maybe the other job is there. So something like that. How you can explain, please?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very fundamental question. Thank you for asking that. So the age range typically is they become employable at the age of say 18, and the training that we run typically is 3 to 6 months thing. So we can take a 17-year plus. So our age would start at 17 and a half to it goes up to 30, 30 plus, and so on. Uh, where they still have a little bit of a passion to learn. So many of our trainees, the students, have been even, women in the range of, I'm saying women for a particular reason, I'll come back to that, between the age of 40 to 50 as well. And these are women who in India, because of the social challenges, they need to start learning and doing something worthwhile, because their male counterparts are really not taking care of them. So that's why the age starts. So anyway, that's the age thing. But the earlier ones, which I said, 18 to 30, 17 and a half to 30, those people are what we train. And like you rightly said, that how do we figure out what is it that they really want? Yeah. And
Yes.
is what they want in the right direction or the wrong direction? right? So these are
Yeah.
two specific things that you highlighted. And for this, we just look at typical jobs availability wherever they are. So each part of India has different industries operational, and from that we pick out specific kind of jobs. And the challenge that most people have is very simple and very fundamental. They only look for money. They only want quick money. Yeah, quick money is maybe different, but they just want money to take care of their life. And in the sense, at the same time, their mindsets, their senses are primarily focusing on immediate benefit, immediate pleasure, immediate change, not really looking at life. How long, for you to get a small pleasure right now may kill a lot of things that may be needed in, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, year, 5 years. So that they don't uh, worry about. They just take immediate hai, to we just take it. So from that perspective, what we do is those projects that we pick up and we present to them have that opportunity to teach them the longer picture, the longer scale that they want to think about. That is one, their thinking ability. The second aspect is their ability to see that the value that they are getting. For example, a project, if it says, find out your family treasures, which is study your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, and bring a picture of where you think the whole place is going, where they start building the relationship value, where they start building the the skill sets that the parents and the grandparents had, which they have not kind of taken forward, or maybe they have taken forward and done something, and if they are alive, then they are actually doing something worthwhile with it. Why not learn from that and say what is it that we want to do from the longer term picture, longer term perspective? Yeah, so to handle their whole challenge of quick and quick pleasure as well as quick money, we kind of bring it to saying, build a picture for yourself for your life, rather than saying immediately, in 3 months time you will get a job which will pay you so much, and you'll start, really good earning something. Be better than that is look at a thing that you do, while they, for the pay that they may give in the first 3 months SaaS job may not be high, but if you really are picking up your skills even while you're learning, while you're working on the job, you will actually build a bigger picture and better picture. And then, we give them some model stories, we give them pictures of people known in the world, and take them through their lives as well. So those are kind of an attempt that kind of builds the exposure and expands our hearts to think more and grow more in that sense. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. Because quick player or response versus delayed gratification, we have to balance it. That's good. And another point you mentioned, that parent skills or grandparent skills. This is very good because in genetic you have the environment in your home just to proceed those skills, and that's very good. Some people's in the job or some in the business, something like that is okay. Now, Neeraj, another question. Just a real life success story. Can you please share a real life success story from your rural shores as a CEO, where you transform the skills of you transform someone's life with the skilled, you can say, perspective, and he was skilled and he transformed his life. And there are real examples, one, two, three, four, or even a single, just for the motivation of the audience, and how the audience can see you that okay, this is the pathway, and I am very fit in this pathway, and I can join and I can something excel.
Right. Great. Thank you. So let me share one specific example. Of course, there are many, but they may be different types. But anyway, let me just start with one. So there is this boy. When we took on the training, he was like a backseater, silent, uh, not speaking much, not participating much. And after the training came, of course, he became confident, he was able to present and so on, which is what was happening to a lot of people. But this one was coming from uh, a real, let's say, poor background with not so much there in the family, and his education was only also just 12th pass, I think. And so when he came out after of the program, he was willing to take on anything as any job that we offered, and said that this is where I will learn, because he was then, communicating a lot frequently. So he joined a thing, and in just 3 months time, he became like a leader, meaning he was actually guiding a lot of people on the floor and the places. And in that whole process, many jobs started coming to him. So from that perspective, in the next 6 months or something like that, he took another place and joined that and actually grew. So in just 1 year time, he has become like a manager, from somebody who was like a backseat quiet guy and all of that. He's now a leader. He participates on LinkedIn, etc., etc. Many such things that he does in a very very relevant form, which most people would want to do. Of course, the earning is also in a sense that his salary has increased pretty much. So from the whole family, he's taking care of now, and at the same time, he's willing to. So for example, I call him, he will come. He will want to share with the students any of the learning that he has gone through. So that's something very very interesting and important. I feel that he's really like a role model for our course.
Yeah, that's good. I will also encourage him to join and to tell the story. But one question to you, Neeraj, that what kind of specific skills he learns so that he become the leader and he is leading the audience or youth.
Yeah, so specific skills, I will probably highlight three of them. One is the ability to listen and then respond to a question. So that ability, when he's there in a group of people and he's talking and they are talking, so then he listens to all of them and then is able to figure out what is the main point that they are trying to say, because everybody confuses the whole issue. Because he's listening, he finds out the real point and he says, okay, if this is what we want to solve, here is what I feel it is right, and I would suggest one step, second step, and so on. So then they would react. So that is one key thing that he's learned, which is listening and communicating properly. The critical, it's also problem solving skill, and all those things are built into this whole thing. Then the other second aspect is that his computer skills. So when he came, he did not have much. I mean, of course, he knew a little bit of the computers in terms of typing, etc. But he learned Word, he learned Excel, and he really, really went on to growing in that area, especially in Excel, looking at the all the latest technologies. Yeah. So from that perspective, he picked up many skills, and he was able to do a lot of good things in the job that he was working in. The third aspect is his ability to actually see the reels on Instagram and YouTube and things like that. So which a lot of people keep seeing. So he started creating them. He started creating something that was of more value for them. So he learned how to edit videos, how to edit audios, how to create some things in a sense that can create a value. So he would start posting those reels across locations and places and things like that. Yeah. So
Very
that's a
good.
skill that he picked up. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it's very important. These you summarize that listening actively instead of passively is the pathway towards solutions. And this is the main problem in our society. Everyone want to speak, but no one want to listen. And computer skills definitely. And the other thing, main important, just what you have in your mind. You have the mobile, and you just share, create, not the passive consumer of the content, but the creator. So very good. Very. This is the crux of this meeting, I think so, and the audience will can benefit from this. And one another thing, Neeraj, how AI you are using in your for the skill trainings, how you are using AI, and how this AI or digital tools reshaping the skill training programs for the India's youth, or in general for youth as well.
Right, right. Thanks for that. So I had kind of briefly mentioned earlier that we brought in, let's say, chat GPT usage earlier in the program, and then we found that people were actually stopping to think. We just using that, so we changed that. And the change that we brought in, how we use it, is that we give them some complex problems with certain steps. And the first step we say is you can use ChatGPT to figure out what is the ChatGPT saying. And then in the second step, with all those things that you've picked up from ChatGPT, you apply and you think differently as well. And whatever else comes to your mind, you apply that as well. So that way, the use of ChatGPT as the AI tool. So they have, in the process, when we were teaching them all of this, they started picking up the graphics, the video, there is an Apollo IO or something also. So they started picking those things up and coming up with solving many challenges. So, for example, when you're making a presentation, you can actually create a PPT or a graphic from AI, and add to it and subtract from it, because the AI doesn't give it like a completely fulfilled thing. You just have to put some touches there. But then they'll start leveraging those tools, which means that when they go into the job, they're not just going with their thinking approach in that sense. They actually are carrying with them the whole industry or the value of the world in using the AI and
That's
applying and bringing quality to the work outcome that they provide. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And another, Neeraj, my question, for example, if you can share the top three things today's employers are actually care about when hiring fresh graduates. What are the top three, or any top priorities of the employers they consider when hiring the fresh graduates, so that the fresh graduates can equip themselves before going to the field, or before stepping towards the employer, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Much needed question. Thank you for asking that. And I think as like I talked about 11 million students graduating every year, so that much need is there that they actually start realizing the key things. So I'll tell you those three specific aspects that they must really focus on. So one is to understand the job in detail. For wherever they apply to anything, they need to really understand what does this industry do, what is that role, what are the things that they would want to do. So sometimes it is mentioned for starters, maybe it is not mentioned very clearly. They will be just given a name or something like that. That they need to research, that they need to find out more about. And that is where, in fact, the AI part will help them to find those elements as well. Yeah, so that is something that they should spend time on, think up about it, and see what are the things they like, what are the things they are not aware of, what are the things that they probably won't like. So if they find and divide them, then they will be able to see whether they want to apply for the job or not. Yeah. The second aspect is that they should really have a great communication, meaning when communication has both the aspects of being able to listen to the question that is being asked by the interviewer and being able to think and answer from your side, and what you answer should carry forward what you really believe and think about. And that is a gap that most people have, because of which the industry, the interviewing people, just decide in just 1 minute, 2 minutes whether you are able to whether you are a good person or not. They just decide on that communication skill. So very important level of this communication, where you listen to the question and then answer from the depth of your heart rather than a copied stuff. So typically when somebody asks, uh, you know tell us about you or talk about yourself, they just have some copied things. I'm so and so, my family so and so, and this is what I've learned, and this is what I want to do, and blah, 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 blah. So they just are, rolling out, same answers. Many times I have interviewed many people, so if there are 4 or 5 of them coming together, 3 or 4 of them will say the same answer, and I'll say, oh, where did you ratify this answer. So thing like that. So that's the communication part is very, very essential in that sense. The third element is what they will get from the first understanding of the overall thing and the second understanding. The third element which company looks for is what are you looking for in terms of growth, in terms of value way ahead. So the common standard answers are we are here to learn, we'll create value with whatever we learn. So those are standard answers. The thing better would be to reflect in your heart and say what you found in the job. If you can mention some of those points, that those are things that really help us, and that is what I would want to work on. And from the say specific kind of place that you have gone to, you can really say what you would be and how you would be working with the people. So think about that, and from there give a aspect of the growth aspect. So these three aspects I feel are critical.
Very wonderful, very wonderful. You summarized this, and this answer was very important. Job details. You search the keywords of the jobs, and just to research theirs in detail before going to interview is very good. To search the website of the company and detail everything. What the company, especially what the company needs, what's the gap, especially focusing the website. Okay, I have this skill, or even I can offer this skill, and this is the gap company is lacking. Even you can highlight those gaps, and you can offer that. This will be very good. And the second one, communication, very good. And the third one, very important, mostly people don't know the growth, what value you want for your growth, and what how company is aligned with your values or something like that. When you have this why question, answer of this why, wonderful, that's wonderful, very important. Thank you very much, Neeraj. I have only two questions last. The second last question is, how educational institutions or NGOs can work better with private sector to address this issue or employment gap or something like that.
It's a good question. Very relevant because we also think like that, because what work we are doing is kind of NGO type, and we do need to work with the corporates. So on one side, we do bring in value. I mean, like an NGO doing this kind of thing is actually bringing value for the industry, for the corporate, by creating value in the individual. Yeah. So when you are actually making sure that the individual starts realizing their personal strength, personal things, and they can develop them, they become more useful for the corporate. So from that perspective, one aspect of this is making sure that you can pick out one, two, three, or five things or something like that from what you're doing, and then interact with the corporate to share and see which of those they would want, and can they be really hiring the people that are being trained by the NGO. Yeah. And so that is one side. Second side is that there are already a lot of companies, corporates, especially the ones that we work with, who have people on the field doing, let's say, marketing or doing some selling or things like that. Now for that, they have not been given any specific skills. So they just say, okay, it's like daily wages, you come and you do this and so on. But in that process, the corporate is losing out because those people are trying to crack it in a very maleficent manner. I mean, they will also put in some negative thoughts and do negative things, which creates a negative impression of the company, of the corporate and the brand. So that those places where NGO can participate, so the company corporate will pay the NGO, and then that is something that they can add really value, good value, so that the people understand that their life is not just this whatever they are doing, but if you look at a longer term, they can pick up more value and go forward with it. Yeah. So those are that's a specific training that can run that level. And the third aspect is this whole gap between the education and the corporate needs. So we can create a method, and this is something that we can tell the corporate, that we are, making sure that we are bridging that gap between the village, I mean the industry as well as the college, that whole gap, we're filling that in to ensure that they are working for you the moment they join you. So from that perspective, we can bring in some value for the corporates and the NGOs together.
Okay, thank you. And let's and before ending this session, my last question: that what advice would you give to someone, such young peoples who are just feel stuck or discussed in their are discussed in their job search or something like that, and they are stuck, and how you advise them something?
Yeah, so thank you for looking for that. The main thing I would, let's say, give advice or guide or like an encouragement for people feeling stuck is that one, there is never, let's say, in life, there is no end in that sense. I mean, there is nothing that is just not possible to expand. So if you're stuck, maybe you're looking at the wrong things. So expand your mind, think bigger. Yeah, that is one. Second is make sure that you look at what you already have and which ways it can be used, which ways it can be applied. And that may create more steps forward. So while you may be looking at a bigger picture, but that bigger picture can is not possible right now. But what you can do is if you take even one step, two steps, and you constantly are working on that, that's a very key thing that one should look at. And linked with that, one aspect is that one has to remember that whatever the age becomes, we have to be constantly learning. And that is why we are here in this life, to ensure that we are able to create value from whatever we learn. And if we do, we can't, we'll never reach a stage of perfection where we can say now we are the gurus of the world and stuff like that. Yeah, so you really have to keep trying. So of course there is no end, but make sure that you apply to what you already have, and then you keep the growing purpose going forward. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just first the broadening your mind and what you have, how to utilize it. You need maybe mentoring, you help from the mentor, something like that. It's wonderful. Neeraj, thank you very much for
Thank
sharing such insightful things, and I think so audience will benefit from this. And we wish you also for your rural shores continued success in transforming lives and shaping of the youth, especially from rural or urban, something semi-urban. Thank you very much to coming
you.
this show, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
You too.
you.
Thank you.